very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings.
I think a new world order is emerging.
An inside job? How dare you? How dare you?
To create, so to say, mass-produced models of human beings arranged in some kind of a scientific caste system.
We shall go on to the end. We shall fight with growing confidence and growing strength in the air. We shall never surrender.
Good day, everybody. This is UCY.TV with the Solvinur Event. It's August the 30th, 2014. It's 4 p.m. in the Netherlands, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And time for more radio once a week. Topics vary, although I've been stuck on two last year or so. It's the trivium and ancient mythologies. Today we're going to continue with the ancient mythologies. We are at page 75, I believe, of the Mahabharata. The trivium I've done a lot of radio on, sticking with the first two, grammar and logic. I haven't even gotten around to doing rhetoric yet, which is kind of sad and odd, because as a radio host, you should be having control of rhetoric, right? Rhetoric has to do with bringing a message persuasively and being able to make the people that listen think in a specific way. Of course, politicians do a lot of this. They've contaminated the whole word rhetoric. When it was taught in ancient schools, it was also known as wisdom. It has more to do with action than just talking. It's the use of your grammar and logic, or it's the how. Right? Grammar is who, what, when, and where. Logic is the why, and rhetoric is the how. So the how, has to do with action. You put to use that which you have learned from the grammar and logic stage. I've stepped away from that a little bit because I thought it was too materialistic. And we've gone over to some other stuff like ancient mythologies, especially those from India. Now, I haven't done this much in the past, and that's because I thought that there were more important things to be spoken about, but you find out that you're speaking to the choir. I assume that you've already done your research and come to the conclusion that you've been lied to about just about everything. And that's also a reason, probably, why in ancient Indian mythology they call this Kali Yuga the age of deception. They have a little bit of different reason why they call it age of deception. They say that we're all ignorant, and I think that's a wrong word. The better word is nescient. Ignore and is something else. Ignorant, ignore and means you have ignored that which has been put in front of you. Alright, so when you talk to chemtrails, you talk to somebody about chemtrails, for instance, and you show them these trails in the sky, and you tell them what your experiences were with those in the past, and you point out the differences, and you ask, why is this different than it used to be? And the other person does not follow. He might not have a memory if he's very young, or he might have a memory but refuses to use it. That's ignorance. That's ignore and. See, you're ignoring the facts. So nescient is a better word. Nescient has to do with the word science. Nescient. And if you haven't been presented the information, then you are nescient, not ignorant. Alright, so but in the ancient mythology, they say that everybody's ignorant. And that's the reason for people living in illusion. That's the word they use. They use the word Maya, which means illusion. So welcome everybody in the chat. No trivium today now, Adele. You might change the topic to trivium if you like. You know, if you want to hear more about that, just ask questions. And I will do my best to answer them. Go to triviumeducation.com for more information about the trivium. It's the first part of the 7 liberal arts. There's the trivium and the quadrivium. Quadrivium is math, which is number. Then geometry, which is number in space. Then music, which is number in time. And then astronomy, which is number in time and space. So, you see, that's all about number. Kabbalah comes to mind also. It's much older than the Jewish version of this. Numerology. I don't know what you can find regarding numerology today, but I'll warn you that there's a lot of hoaxers out there. And they will say, whoa, I'll tear apart your date birth and name and come up with a number. When they probably don't even know how to crush these numbers. They just copy-paste from a book that they've read in the past. And that's an appeal to authority. Alright, appeal to authority is from the logic stage. It's when you accept what somebody is saying, and it doesn't have to be an authority, like an expert, for instance, or a doctor, or a teacher, or your mother. If you accept what people say without checking that for yourself, you have committed a fallacy. It's called appeal to authority. There are many more appeals out there. Ad hominem, appeal to pity, appeal to ridicule. That's used a lot. Appeal to ridicule. You know, just say, well, he's crazy, don't listen to him. Alright? That's why it's always important to check whatever is being presented to you for yourself. So, I'll keep an eye on the chat. Who's there? Del, JJ, Joe, Sholiak, Vince, Cap, Clark, and 3 Anons. Welcome everybody. If you have any questions regarding anything, doesn't have to be on topic, doesn't have to be on the trivium, doesn't have to be about ancient mythology, which we're going to go into. Just put them in the chat and I'll see what I can do. Please put them in capital letters. That way I know that might be a question and I have to pay a little bit more attention to it. But we're going to pick this up from somewhere around page 75. 73. Alright, Sauti continued, having said unto Garuda, Kasyapa blessed him, saying, Blessed be thou when thou art in combat with the gods. So, yeah, you see there's already these references to combat with the gods. And I'm not exactly sure what to think of this. You know, if this God, quote unquote, not the gods, but the God that created this universe has created it in such a way that these gods are at war with each other, and there's so much war in these Vedas that it's not funny anymore. You wonder, you know, what kind of God would do that? Isn't there a better way? Let's see. Let water pitchers filled to the brim, brahmanas, kine, and other auspicious objects, bless thee, thou oviparous one. This English sometimes. And, O thou of great strength, when thou art engaged with the gods in combat. Yeah. It's like he's talking to some kind of devil or demon or what. You know, these gods are they not supposed to work together? Let the rikshis, the yajus, the samas, the sacred sacrificial butter, all the mysteries, that's the Upanishad, constitute thy strength. Upanishads is an interesting thing to read. These are the more philosophically tainted translations that are available. If we ever get to the end of these, there's more we can read, like Srimad Bhagavatam, the Bhagavad Gita, the Upanishads. So we'll never get to the end of this anyway. Garuda, thus addressed by his father, went to the side of that lake. He saw that expanse of clear water with birds of various kinds all around. And, remembering the words of his father, that ranger of the skies, that's Garuda, possessed of great swiftness of motion, seized the elephant and the tortoise, one in each claw. And that bird then soared high into the air, and he came upon a sacred place called Alamva, and saw many divine trees. And struck by the wind, raised by his wings, those trees began to shake with fear. And those divine trees, having golden boughs, feared that they would break. And the ranger of the sky, seeing that those trees capable of granting every wish were quaking with fear, went to other trees of incomparable appearance. And here's the basis, and there's probably more references to this, of wish trees. Trees that will fulfill your every wish. And those gigantic trees were adorned with fruits of gold and silver and branches of precious gems. That's odd, right? And they were washed with the waters of the sea, and there was a large banyan among them, which had grown into gigantic proportions, that spoke unto the Lord of the bird, coursing towards it with the fleetness of the mind. Sit thou on this large branch of mine, extending 100 yojanas, and eat the elephant and the tortoise. When that beast of birds of great swiftness, and of body resembling a mountain, quickly alighted upon a bough of the banyan tree, the resort of thousands of winged creatures, that bough also, full of leaves, shook and broke down. This is the end of section 29. Moving on to 30. Sauti said, at the very touch by Garuda of great might with his feet, the branches of the tree broke, as it was caught by Garuda. Casting his eyes around in wonder, he saw Valakilya rishis hanging therefrom with heads downwards and engaged in ascetic penances. Yeah, that's kind of strange, right? They're sitting on a banyan tree, which is actually a tree upside down. And so now you see there's quote-unquote rishis hanging upside down also. Reflecting that if that bough fell down, the rishis would be slain, the mighty one held the elephant and the tortoise still more firmly with his claws. And from fear of slaying the rishis and desire of saving them, held that bough in his beaks and rose on its wings. The great rishis were struck with wonder at the sight of that act, of which was beyond even the power of the gods, and gave that mighty bird a name. Alright, that's how you can see that this Garuda is not just any bird. It's God himself, alright? And they said, as this ranger of the sky rises on its wings, bearing a heavy burden, let this foremost of birds, having snakes for his food, be called Garuda, bearer of heavy weights. All right, so that's the explanation, the translation rather. And shaking the mountains by his wings, Garuda leisurely coursed through the skies, and as he soared with the elephant and the tortoise, he beheld various regions underneath. Desiring as he did to save the Valakilyas, he saw not a spot whereon to sit. At last he went to that forest of mountains called Gandhamadana. There he saw his father, Kasyapa, engaged in ascetic devotion. Alright, let's see, hold on guys. Yeah, you can post a video, Pinchinot, if you like. Make sure you do not post a channel though, because they won't paste. Just pick one video from the channel and paste it there. Just see here. See, it works. It has nothing to do with me having an account. Anybody can post a video in the chat. All right, so it's your fault. Learn how to paste a video. It's not that hard. Kasyapa also saw his son, that ranger of the skies, of divine form, possessed of great splendor and energy and strength, and endued with the speed of the wind or the mind, huge as mountain peak, a ready smiter like the curse of a Brahmana, inconceivably, indescribable, frightful to all creatures, possessed of great powers, terrible, of the splendor of Agni himself, and incapable of being overcome by the deities, Danavas and invincible Rakshasas, capable of splitting mountain summits and sucking the ocean itself and destroying the three worlds. Fierce, and looking like Yama himself, the illustrious Kasyapa, seeing him approach and knowing also his motive, spoke unto him these words. Kasyapa said, O child, do not commit a rash act, for then thou wouldst have to suffer pain. The Valakilyas, supporting themselves by drinking the rays of the sun, might, if angry, blast thee. Sauti said, Kasyapa then propitiated, for the sake of his son, the Valakilyas of exceeding good fortune, and whose sins had been destroyed by ascetic penances. Yeah. That's where the Catholics got their idea from. How to destroy sin, you know. This is all to do with karma, and we'll get to that at some point. It's a fracking hoax, guys. There's no such thing. And Kasyapa said, Ye whose wealth is asceticism, the essay of Garuda is good for all creatures. The task is great that he is striving to accomplish. It behooveth you to accord him your permission. What the heck is that? Sauti continued. Those ascetics thus addressed by the illustrious Kasyapa abandoned that bow and went to the sacred mountain of Himavat for purposes of ascetic penances. Yeah. Now why would you do that if you're already free of all sins, right? These stories don't, in so many places, do not make any sense. And it's probably wise not to take any of this literally. They're mythologies, you know, they are stories of nature's forces. I don't know what though. After those rishis had gone away, the son of Vinata, with voice obstructed by the bow in his beaks, asked his father Kasyapa, saying, O illustrious ones, then, yeah, ascetic penances sounds like something out of the Bhagavad Gita. It is mentioned there also, right? Depending on which translation you read, there's many ways in which you can do ascetic, right? Penances. One way in which it is being translated is, well, all you have to do is do everything, no matter what you do it for God, and you will not come onto any sins, right? And it will also burn your sins. It's in the chapter called Karma Yoga from the Bhagavad Gita. But these are all, as far as I can see anyway, ways in which to control the masses. That's what it's for. Alright? You're supposed to think you're a sinner, you know? You're a bad person, blah blah blah. It's for control reasons only. Kasyapa said, "O illustrious one, where shall I throw this arm of the tree? Indicate to me some region without human beings." As if he's so sparingly with human beings now. Then Kasyapa spoke of a mountain without human beings, with caves and dales, always covered with snow and incapable of approach by ordinary creatures, even in thought. And the great bird bearing that branch, the elephant and the tortoise, proceeded with great speed towards that mountain. The great arm of the tree, with which that bird of huge body flew away, could not be girt round with a cord made of 100 hides. Garuda, the lord of the birds, then flew away for hundreds of thousands of yojanas within the shortest time, and going according to the directions of his father to that mountain almost in a moment, the ranger of the skies let fall the gigantic bow. And it fell with a great noise, and that prince of the mountain shook, struck with the storm raised by Garuda's wings, and the trees thereon dropped showers of flowers, and the peaks decked with gems and gold adorning that great mountain itself were loosened and fell down on all sides. Alright, so this is probably a reference to where you can find gems and minerals like gold, silver, and so on. Yeah, it's in the mountain ranges. That's where you will find these. You know, that's probably why they went to Afghanistan in the first place. Because there were huge deposits of rare elements there. And the falling bough struck down numerous trees which, with golden flowers amid dark foliage, shone there like clouds charged with lightning. And those trees, bright as gold, falling down upon the ground, dyed with mountain metals, shone as if they were bathed in rays of the sun. Then that best of birds, Garuda, perching on the summit of that mountain, ate both the elephant and the tortoise, rose on his wings with great speed from the top of the mountain. And various omens began to appear among the gods, foreboding fear. Indra's favorite thunderbolt blazed up in a fright. Meteors with flames and smoke, loosened from the welkin, shot down during the day. And the weapons of the Vasus, the Rudras, the Adityas, the Sabhyas, the Maruts, and other gods began to spend their force against one another. Why? What's going on here? You know, these gods are probably representations of nature's forces. What's going on here, right? Such a thing had never happened, even during the war between the gods and the Asuras, alright? So that's what you usually hear. The Asuras are like the demons, right? The devils. And they are, for some reason, in constant warfare with, quote-unquote, the gods, the demigods, the half-gods. Yeah. And the winds blew accompanied with thunder, and meteors fell by thousands. We're going through some period here where meteors are coming down, probably due to the position of the Earth in some region of the universe. Alright. Don't know why you people can't paste stuff. Do not paste channels. They don't work. And the sky, though cloudless, roared tremendously, and even he, who was the god of the gods, shed showers of blood. What the hell? And the flowery garlands on the necks of the gods faded in their prowess, suffered diminution, and terrible masses of clouds dropped thick showers of blood, and the dust raised by the winds darkened the splendor of the very coronets of the gods. Coronet is a crown. And he of 1,000 sacrifices, that's Indra, with the other gods, perplexed with fear at the sight of those dark forebodings, spoke unto Vrihaspita thus: Why, O worshipful one, have these natural disturbances suddenly arisen? See, there you get a clue here, what's going on. Yeah, these are natural disturbances. It has nothing to do with God, quote unquote, having a fight. No foe do I behold who would oppress us in war. Vrihaspati answered, O chief of the gods, O thou of 1,000 sacrifices, it is from thy fault and carelessness, and owing also to the ascetic penance of the high-souled rishis, the Valakilyas, that the son of Kashyapa and Vinata, a ranger of the skies, endued with great strength and possessing the capacity of assuming at will any form, is approaching to take away the Soma. Note that there is no translation for this word Soma here. That's because they don't know what it is. Even the most knowledgeable translators of the Sanskrit texts have no clue what Soma is. And that bird, foremost among all endued with great strength, is able to rob you of the Soma. Everything is possible with him, the unachievable he can achieve. So he continued. Indra, having heard these words, then spoke unto those that guarded the Amrita, saying, A bird endued with great strength and energy has set his heart on taking away the Amrita. I warn you beforehand so that he may not succeed in taking it away by force. Vrihaspati has told me that his strength is immeasurable, and the gods, hearing of it, were amazed and took precautions. And they stood surrounding the Amrita, and Indra also of great prowess, the wielder of the thunder, stood with them. And the gods wore curious breastplates of gold, and set with gems, and bright leather armor of great toughness. Leather armor, guys. You know, that's not very sophisticated, is it? Now that's how the people in the past made wars, with bows, with clubs, with spears, and with leather armor, not even steel, you know? Let alone some kind of force field or whatever. It's just leather armor. And the mighty deities wielded various sharp-edged weapons of terrible shapes. Yeah, like a trident, for instance. Or a spear. Countless in number, emitting, even all of them, sparks of fire with smoke. And they were, I guess they could make, like, fire weapons make a burning spear, or even poison the tip of a spear, like the people in the Amazon still do. They can make poisoned spears, and they'll kill you too. And they were also armed with many a discus and iron mace furnished with spikes. See, there's maces there. That's how they made wars. Normal people I'm talking about, not gods or whatever. And trident, battle axe, and various kinds of sharp-pointed missiles. Those are just arrows. And polished swords and maces of terrible form, all befitting their respective bodies. And decked with celestial ornaments and resplendent with those bright arms, the gods waited there. Their fierce allied, I don't know that word, A-L-L-A-Y-E-D. And the gods of incomparable strength, energy and splendor resolved to protect the Amrita. Capable of splitting the towns of the Asuras, those are the demons, and displayed themselves in forms resplendent as the fire. And in consequence of the gods standing there, that battlefield, owning to hundreds of thousands of maces furnished with iron spike, shone like another firmament illuminated by the rays of the sun. That's the end of section 30. Moving on. So now Kasset, O son of Sutta. What was Indra's fault? What his act of carelessness? How was Garuda born in consequence of the ascetic penances of the Valakilyas? Why also Kasyapa, a Brahmin, had the king of birds for a son? Why, too, was he invincible of all creatures and unslayable of all? Why also was that ranger of the skies capable of going into every place at will and of mastering at will any measure of energy? If these are described in the Puranas, I should like to hear them. Yeah, they're talking about this bird here being unslayable, being capable of having any form, and so on, any measure of energy. Again, depending on which translation you read, this is a description of what are called God's playtime. He's just having fun. That's what they will tell you. Sauti said, what thou asked me, indeed, the subject of the Puranas, O twice born one. Listen as I briefly recite it all. Twice born, right? So that term is also much, much older than any of the Brahmanic, Brahmanic? No. Abrahamic, whatever. Abraham. That's probably where he got his name from also, Abraham, Brahmana. Did you hear the etymological ties there? Sauti said, when thou askest me indeed the subject of the Purana, O twice born, listen as I briefly recite it all. Once upon a time, when the Lord of creation, Kasyapa, was engaged in a sacrifice from desire of offspring, the rishis, the gods, and the Gandharvas all gave him help. Yeah. Why would he need help from all those creatures? That ought to make you wonder, right? And Indra was appointed by Kasyapa to bring the sacrificial fuel, and with him those ascetics, the Valakilyas, and all the other deities. And the Lord Indra, taking up to his own strength a weight that was a mountain-like, brought it without any fatigue. And he saw on the way some rishis of bodies of the measure of the thumb. That's small, huh? All together carrying one single stalk of a palasa. That's a Butea frondasa. Alright? They're carrying the stalk of a palasa leaf. And those rishis were, from want of food, very lean and almost merged in their own bodies. What the heck is that? And they were so weak that they were much afflicted when sunk in the water that collected in an indentation on the road produced by the hoof of a cow. And Purandara, proud of his strength, beheld them with surprise, and laughing at them in derision, soon left them behind, insulting them. Besides, by passing over their heads, and those rishis being thus insulted, were filled with rage and sorrow. Yeah. Well, if you're that easily enraged, there's something wrong with you. They made preparations for a great sacrifice, at which Indra was terrified. Hear, O Sonauka, of the wish for accomplishment, of which those vow-observing wise and excellent ascetics poured clarified butter of the sacrificial fire with loudly uttered mantras. Alright, mantras, those are sacred, secret. There's an etymological tie there again. Sacred, secret words, verses. There shall be another Indra of all gods, capable of going everywhere at will, and of mustering at will any measure of energy, and striking fear into the king of the gods. By the fruit of our ascetic penance, let one arise, fleet as the mind, and fierce withal. And the Lord of the Celestials of 100 sacrifices, having come to know of this, became very much alarmed, and sought the protection of the vow-observing Kasyapa. And the Prajapati, Kasyapa, hearing everything from Indra, went to the Valakilyas and asked them if their sacrifice had been successful. And those truth-speaking rishis replied to him, saying, Let it be as thou sayest. And the Prajapati, Kasyapa, pacifying them, spoke unto them as follows. Alright, so before I continue, I'd like to comment a little on what is said here. It says here, and those truth-speaking rishis. Alright? That's you guys. You guys are the truth-speaking people. Alright? Enlightenment, you know, the spiritual stuff, you're going to be enlightened. No. It's waking up. That's the enlightenment. You see? They're talking about us here. Not some Vashu, what do you call them? Not some ascetic sitting in a cave in a mountain high in his lotus position. No. It's us that is being commented upon here. That they mean us when they say truth speakers. It's not for nothing that word truth is used. Because we have pinched through the illusion, you see. We are the awake ones. We are the twice born. That's what it means. To be awake means to be twice born. You understand? All this spiritual talk has sometimes very many links to us as being awake. By the word, continuing, by the word of Brahman, this one, Indra, has been made the Lord of the three worlds. Ye ascetics, ye also are striving to create another Indra. Ye excellent ones, it behooves you not to falsify the words of Brahman. Let not also this purpose for accomplishing which ye are striving be rendered futile. Yeah. Again, talking about speaking truth. If you do not speak truth, anything is futile. You know, resistance is futile. Yeah. If you don't speak truth, you might as well shut up, you know? Because it's useless. People are useless. Let there spring an Indra of winged creatures endued with excess of strength. Be gracious unto Indra, who is suppliant before you. And the Valakilias, thus addressed by Kasyapa, after offering reference to that first of the Munis, the Prajapati Kasyapa spoke. The Valyaka said, O Prajapati, this sacrifice of us is for an Indra, not the Indra that is currently in the story, but for a different one. Indeed, this has also been meant for a son being born unto thee. Let this task be now left to thee, and in this matter do whatsoever thou seest to be good and proper. Proper. Yeah. Sauti continued. Meanwhile, moved by the desire of offspring, the good daughter of Daksha, the vow-observing amiable and fortunate Vinata, her ascetic penances over, having purified herself with a bath in that season when connubial companionship might prove fruitful, approached her lord. And Kasyapa spoke unto her, Respected one, the sacrifice commenced by me has borne fruit. When what has been desired by thee shall come to pass. 2 heroic sons shall be born unto thee, who shall be the lords of the 3 worlds. By the penance of the Valakilias, and by virtue of the desire with which I commenced my sacrifice, those sons shall be of exceedingly good fortune and worshipped in the 3 worlds. Alright. And the illustrious Kasyapa spoke unto her again, Bear thou these auspicious seeds with great care. Those 2 will be the lords of all winged creatures. These heroic rangers of the skies will be respected in all the worlds, and capable of assuming any form at will. Smoke too much, right? And the Prajapati, gratified with all that took place, then addressed Indra of 100 sacrifices, saying, Thou shalt have 2 brothers of great energy and prowess, who shall be to thee even as the helpmates. Strange, helpmates. From them no injury shall result unto thee. Let thy sorrow cease. Thou shalt continue as the lords of all. Let not, however, the utterers of the name of Brahma be ever again slighted by thee. Nor let the very wrathful ones, whose words are even the thunderbolt, be ever again insulted by thee. Indra, thus addressed, went to heaven, his fears dispelled, and Vinata also, her purpose fulfilled, was exceedingly glad. And she gave birth to 2 sons, Aruna and Garuda. And Aruna, of undeveloped body, became the forerunner of the sun, and Garuda was vested with the lordship of the birds. O thou of Brigu's race, hearken now to the mighty achievement of Garuda. And that's the end of this section. So, moving on to next. So he said, O foremost of Brahmanas, the gods having prepared for battle in that way, Garuda, the king of birds, soon came upon those wise ones. And the gods, beholding him of excessive strength, began to quake with fear and strike one another with all their weapons. That's odd, right? And amongst those that guarded the Soma was Brahmana, the celestial architect. Right? He's responsible for creating solar systems and so on. That's why he's called the celestial architect. I don't know exactly what's going on. The word architect, arch. You know, the sun makes an arch in the sky also. Try this again. And amongst those that guarded the Soma was Brahmana, the celestial architect, of measureless might, effulgent as the electric fire, and of great energy. Electric fire, what the heck is that? How does the word electric even come into place here? You know, if they have knowledge of what electricity is, don't you think they would be fighting with other weapons than clubs and bows? And after a terrific encounter lasting only a moment, managed by the Lord of the Birds with his talons, beaks and wings, he lay as dead on the fields. And the Ranger of the skies, making the worlds dark with the dust raised by the hurricane of his wings, overwhelmed the celestials with it. And the latter, overwhelmed with that dust, swooned away. And the immortals who guarded the Amrita, blinded by the dust, could no longer see Garuda. Even thus did Garuda agitate the regions of the heavens, and even thus he mangled the gods with the wounds inflicted by his wings and beak. Nice bird, huh? Then the god of 1,000 eyes commanded Vaju, that's the god of the wind, see, we're talking nature forces, saying, Dispel thou the shower of dust soon, O Maruta, this is indeed thy task. Then the mighty Vaju soon drove away the dust, and the darkness had disappeared. The celestials attacked Garuda, as he of great might was attacked by the gods, he began to roar aloud, like the great cloud that appears in the sky at the end of the Yuga, frightening every creature. And that king of birds, of great energy, the slayer of hostile heroes, like the anti-hero, then arose on his wings. All the wise ones, that's the celestials, with Indra amongst them, armed with double-edged broadswords, iron maces furnished with sharp spikes, pointed lances, maces, bright arrows, and many a discus in the form of the sun, saw him overhead. Yeah. And the king of birds attacked them on all sides with showers of various weapons, and fought exceedingly hard without wavering for a moment. And the son of Vinata, of great prowess, blazing in the sky, attacked the gods on all sides with his wings and breast, and blood began to flow copiously from the bodies of the gods, mangled by the talons and the beak of Garuda. Overcome by the Lord of Birds, the Satyas with the Gandharvas fled eastwards. Yeah, that's odd, right? I mean, these Gandharvas are supposed to be on the quote-unquote good side. So why the heck are they fighting Garuda? It doesn't make sense. The Vasus with the Rudra's towards the south, the Adityas towards the west, and the twin Aswins towards the north. You see this back in Greek mythology also. These gods having fights amongst each other, trying to deceive one another, getting angry at one another. Gifted with great energy, they retreated fighting, looking back every moment at their enemy. And Garuda had encounters with the Yakshas, Asvakranda of great courage, Rainuka, the bold Kratanaka. Right, the Yakshas, who are named here, they are more of the devilish kind, or the demonic kind. Alright, so Garuda had encounters with the Yakshas, the Ashvakranda, Rainuka, Kratanaka, Tapana, Ulaka, Swasanaka, Nimesha, Praruja, and Pulina. And the sons of Vinata mangled them with his wings, talons, and beak, like Shiva himself, the chastiser of enemies, and the holder of Pinaka in rage at the end of the Yuga. See, here you get a reference to Shiva being the destroyer of worlds at the end of the Yuga, you see? The end of an age, the end of time. And those Yakshas of great might and courage, mangled all over by that ranger of the skies, looked like masses of black clouds dropping thick showers of blood. And Garuda, depriving them of life, then went to where the Amrita was, and he saw that it was surrounded on all sides by fire, and the terrible flames of that fire covered the entire sky, and moved by violent winds, they seemed bent on burning the sun himself. Alright, reference to the fact that they see the sun as male, the moon being female. The illustrious Garuda then assumed 90 times 90 mouths, and quickly drinking the waters of many rivers with those mouths, and returning with great speed, the chastiser of enemies, having wings for his vehicle, extinguished that fire with the water. And extinguishing that fire, he assumed a very small form, desirous of entering into the place where the Soma was. Alright, that's the end of this section. Next is section 33. But before we do that, we're going to take a little break. Let's see. Blah, blah. Welcome everybody in chat that I haven't mentioned. One unknown. 37. Nothing 1. What's up, buddy? Vince, how you doing? And Gio have joined in the last hour. What's up, people? So let's take a little break. Listen to some music from Pokerface at Freedom Palooza in 2012. Alright, let's see what we can do here. Yay, music!
How's this one start? I'm ready. Good.
Sounds like he's in tune.
Well, that's how I sing. You would want the guitar to complement that.
This one's off our last disc. It's called It's Not What You Say. Thank you. Last song of the night, Survive. We got...
Alright guys. That was Poker Face. Whoopee! So, let's pick this up where we were. At section 33. Sauti said, and the bird, assuming a golden body bright as the rays of the sun, entered with great force the region where the Soma was, like a torrent entering the ocean. And he saw, placed near the Soma, a wheel of steel, keen, edged and sharp as the razor, revolving incessantly. At that fierce instrument, of the splendor of the blazing sun and of terrible form, had been devised by the gods for cutting in pieces all robbers of the Soma. Garuda, seeing a passage through it, stopped there for a moment. Diminishing his body, in an instant he passed through the spokes of the wheel. Within the line of the wheel he beheld, stationed there for guarding the soma, 2 great snakes of the effulgence of blazing fire, with tongues bright as a lightning flash, of great energy, with mouth emitting fire, with blazing eyes, containing poison. Yeah, sounds like dragons, right? Fire dragons. Snakes and dragons, they can be seen as the same in these mythological stories. Very terrible, always in anger and of great activity. Still talking about the snakes. Their eyes were ceaselessly inflamed with rage and were also winkless. He who may be seen by even one of the 2 would instantly be reduced to ashes. Huh. Does that sound like a Greek story? The bird of fair feathers suddenly covered their eyes with dust, and unseen by them, he attacked them from all sides. And the son of Vinata, the ranger of the skies, attacking their bodies, mangled them into pieces. He then approached the soma without loss of time. Then the mighty son of Vinata, taking up the Amrita from the place where it was kept, rose on his wings with great speed, breaking into pieces that machine that had surrounded it. Huh. Machine, right? Is that what it says in Sanskrit? Machine? Seriously? If that were true, why are they still fighting with clubs and bows and arrows and leather armor? Right? Does it make any sense? It doesn't to me. And the bird soon came out, taking the Amrita, but without drinking it himself. And he then went on his way without the least fatigue, darkening the splendor of the sun. Alright, that's my cat. Hey buddy, how are you doing? I had to take my cat to the vet yesterday. Cost me €100. Unbelievable. Expensive vets. You know, because he had this wound in his left claw, and it had to be taken care of. So he's gonna have to stay inside for a while. Got these pills for him. He needs to get 2 a day to get rid of the infection. And I'll be going out with him. I've got this. I don't know what you call that in English. It's in Dutch. It's tuig. And you can string up the cat and take him for a walk. But you can't let him go because he has to take these pills to get rid of the infection. So, poor cat, huh? He'll be alright though. He's already walking on his left paw already. So, should be okay in 8 days or 7 days when the pills are all gone. He'll be out again. Yeah, when there's normally nothing going on with the cat, I usually just let him go, and he comes back sometimes, not more than once or twice a day, usually once. He comes in and takes a little food, and he's gone again. It's a real outside cat. But he gets into fights a lot. So, that's why he has to go to the vet sometimes. Poor cat. Alright, where were we? And the son of Vinata then met Vishnu on his way along the sky. And Narayana was gratified at that act of self-denial on the part of Garuda. Right, Narayana is a traveling person. The word traveling is not so good here, right? Like, are you a traveler, right? You're going from west to east? What's going on here, right? But he can travel from any place in the universe to any other place. He doesn't need spaceships or whatever. He's also carrying a musical instrument with him, which he plays all the time. Alright, so that's Narayana. And that deity, knowing no deterioration, that's probably Narayana, said unto the ranger of the skies, "Oh, I am inclined to grant thee a boon." The ranger of the skies thereupon said, "I shall stay above thee." And he again spoke unto Narayana these words, "I shall be immortal and free from disease without drinking Amrita." Yeah. Vishnu said unto the son of Vinata, "Be it so." Garuda, receiving those two boons, told Vishnu, "I also shall grant thee a boon. Therefore, let the possessor of the 6 attributes ask of me." Alright, possessor of 6 attributes, especially if you have full possession. Vincent. Yeah. Well, I got that from Bill Cooper, Vince. So, I don't like it. I really don't. It's hard to not use those words because you don't want to be associated with that group of secretive people called Masons, right? I really don't like it. I really don't. Blah, blah. Where were we? Oh yeah, the 6 attributes. If you have them in full possession, then you are known as Bhagavan. You've probably heard that word before. It's another word for, quote-unquote, God. Vishnu then asked the mighty Garuda to become his carrier. And he made the bird sit on the flagstaff of his car. Alright, is that what it says in the Sanskrit text, guys? Car, are you kidding me? It doesn't make any sense. Saying, "Even thus thou shalt stay above me," and the ranger of the skies of great speed, saying unto Narayana, "Be it so," swiftly went on his way, mocking the wind with his fleetness. And while that foremost of all rangers of the skies, that first of winged creatures, Garuda, was coursing through the air after resting the Amrita, what the hell is that? W-R-E-S-T-I-N-G. Indra hurled at him his thunderbolt. Then Garuda, the lord of the birds, struck with thunderbolts, spoke laughingly unto Indra, engaged in the encounter, in sweet words, saying, "I shall respect the rishi, of whose bone the Vajra has been made." Right, so here's another word that doesn't get translated into English. I have no clue what a Vajra is. V-A-J-R-A, whatever that is. "I shall also respect the Vajra, and thee also of 1,000 sacrifices. I cast this feather of mine, whose end thou shalt not attain. Struck with thy thunder I have not felt the slightest pain." And having said this, the king of the birds cast a feather of his. And all creatures became exceedingly glad, beholding that excellent feather of Garuda so cast off. And seeing that the feather was very beautiful, they said, "Let this bird be called Suparna, having fair feathers." That's what it means, Suparna, having fair feathers. And Purandara of 1,000 eyes, witnessing this wonderful incident, thought that bird to be some great being and addressed him thus. And Indra said, O best of birds, I desire to know the limit of thy great strength. I also desire eternal friendship with thee. Eternal friendship, Indra, when you're gonna die at the end of this yuga? How does that make sense, right? That would only make sense if Indra is self-aware. Alright? They call it self-realization. That would only make sense in their philosophy if you are self-realized, because that would mean that you know that you are eternal, and then you can ask for eternal friendship, right? But supposedly Indra is not. He is just a god, a demigod, a half-god, even though he's king of the gods. You know, he has his task to fulfill, just like Brahma. They're all just living creatures, just like you and me, living in the universe, being engulfed in ignorance. That's what their philosophy is, not mine. Alright, so if you're engulfed in ignorance, you cannot be self-realized. Alright, next. Sauti continued. This is section 34. Sauti continued. Garuda then said, O Purandara, let there be friendship between thee and me as thou desirest. My strength, know thou, is hard to bear. O those of 1,000 sacrifices, the good never approve of speaking highly of their own strength. Nor do they speak of their own merits, but being made a friend and asked by thee, O friend, I will answer thee, although self-praise without reason is ever improper. I can bear on a single feather of mine, O Sakra, this earth, with her mountains and forest, and with the waters of the ocean, and with thee also stationed thereon. Know thou, my strength is such that I can bear without fatigue even all the worlds put together, with their mobile and immobile objects. Alright, mobile objects, that would be a cat, a tiger, an ant, humans. Alright, immobile objects are like mountains, trees. Alright. Sauti continued, O Saunauka, after Garuda of great courage had thus spoken, Indra, the chief of the gods, the wearer of the celestial crown, ever bent upon the good of the worlds, replied, saying, It is, as thou sayest, everything is possible in thee, except now my sincere and hearty friendship. And if thou hast no concern with the Soma, return it to me. Those to whom thou wouldst give it would always oppose us. Garuda answered, There is a certain reason for which the Soma is being carried by me. I shall not give the Soma to anyone for drink. But, O thou of 1,000 eyes, after I have placed it down, thou, O Lord of the heavens, canst then, taking it up, instantly bring it away. Indra then said, O viporous one, whatever that is, I am highly gratified with these words now spoken by thee. O best of all rangers of the skies, accept from me any boon that thou desirest. So here's Indra offering Garuda a boon. That doesn't make any sense, right? That's like an ant speaking to a human saying, what do you want? Yeah. Sauti continued. Then Garuda, recollecting the sons of Kudra and remembering also the bondage of his mother caused by an act of deception owing to the well-known reason, the curse of Aruna, said, Although I have power over all creatures, yet I shall do your bidding. Let, O Sakra, the mighty snakes become my food. The slayer of the Danavas having said unto him, Be it so. then went to Hari, the god of gods, of great soul, and the lord of the yogins. Whatever that is. Hari is also another word for God, not Indra, not the god of the gods, but Vishnu. Alright, Hari is another word for Vishnu. And the latter sanctioned everything that had been said by Garuda. And the illustrious Lord of Heavens again said to Garuda, I shall bring away the Soma when thou placest it down. And having said so, he bade farewell to Garuda, and the bird of fair feathers then went to the presence of his mother with great speed. And Garuda, in joy, then spoke unto all the snakes, Here have I brought the Amrita, let me place it on some kusa grass. It's a type of grass. O ye snakes, sitting here, drink of it after ye have performed your ablutions and religious rites. As said by you, let my mother become from this day free, for I have accomplished your bidding. The snakes, having said unto Garuda, Be it so, then went to perform their ablutions. Meanwhile, Sakra, taking up the Amrita, went back to heaven. The snakes, after performing their ablutions, their daily devotions, and other sacred rites, returned in joy, desirous of drinking the Amrita. They saw that the bed of kusa grass whereon the Amrita had been placed was empty, the Amrita itself having been taken away by a counteract of deception. And they began to lick with their tongues the kusa grass, as the Amrita had been placed thereon. And the tongues of the snakes by that act became divided in twain. Forked tongue, right? And the kusa grass too, from the contact with Amrita, became sacred thenceforth. Thus did the illustrious Garuda bring Amrita from the heavens for the snakes, and thus were the tongues of the snakes divided by what Garuda did. Then the birds of fair feathers, very much delighted, enjoyed himself in those woods accompanied by his mother, of grand achievements, and deeply revered by all rangers of the skies, he gratified his mother by devouring the snakes. That man who would listen to this story or read it out to an assembly of good Brahmanas must surely go to heaven, acquiring great merit from the recitation of the feats of Garuda. And this is the end of section 34. 35. Sanauka said, alright, so somebody else is taking over the story here. O son of Sutta, thou hast told us of the reason why the snakes were cursed by their mother, and why Vinata also was cursed by her son. Thou hast also told us about the bestowal of boons by their husband on Kudra and Vinata. Thou hast likewise told us the names of Vinata's sons, but thou hast not yet recited to us the names of the snakes. We are anxious to hear the names of the principal ones. The principal ones? What the heck is that? Now it's Sauti again talking. Sauti said, O those whose wealth is asceticism, from fear of being lengthy, I shall not mention the names of all the snakes, but I will recite the names of the chief ones. Sesha was born first, then Vasuki, Airavata, Takshaka, Karkotaka, Danyayaya, Kalakeya, the serpent Mani, Purana, Pinjaraka, and Elapatra, Vamana, Nila, Anila, Kalmasha, Savala, Aryaka, Ugra, Kalasapotaka, Suramukha, Dadimukha, Vimalpindaka, Apta, Karotaka, Samka, Valisikta, Nishtanaka, Hemaguha, Nahasha, Pingala, Vahakarna, Astipada, Mudgarapindaka, Kamvala, Ashvatara, that's one name, Kamvala Ashvatara, Kalyaka, Vrita, Samvartaka, Padma, reminds me of Star Wars. Mahapadma, Samkanuka, Kushmandaka, Ksemaka, Pindaraka, Karavira, Pushpa, Straka, Vilvaka, more to come, Vilvapandara, Mushikada, Shankasiras, Purnadabra, Haridraka, Aparajita, Jyotika, Shrivaha, Kauravya, Dhritarashtra. Oh, really? That's the same name as we told you about in the past. The king of the Kurus. Sankhya, no, not Sankhya. Sankapinda, Viraja, Suvahu, Salipinda, Prabhakara, Hastipinda, Pitaraka, Samuksha, Kaunapashana, Kutara, Kunjara, Kumuda, Kumudaksha, Titra, Halika, Kandama, Vahumulaka, Karkara, Akarkara, Kundadora, and Mahodara. Alright, so those are the names of the snakes in the story. There's one thing I can say about this, and this has to do with the way the Sanskrit text is made up. Alright? I tried learning some of it, but it's really difficult, especially if you don't have a teacher. And it is so that in Sanskrit, it's a language of noises, right? So like ba, ka, va, ta, ra, and so on and so on. Okay, so be, ke, le, and so on. So you've got all these small noises, all right? Usually translated into English, ending up as two letters, like ra, for instance, right? And all of these small noises have a specific meaning. So when you put two of them together to form a name, for instance, like Rama, you get a hint of what is Rama is supposed to be, because this word is made up of two noises, Ra and Ma, right? They don't work like we do with single letters. They work with small noises. Alright. Thus, O best of the regenerate ones, have I said the names of the principal serpents. From fear of being tedious, I do not give the names of the rest. O thou whose wealth is asceticism, the sons of these snakes with their grandsons are innumerable. Reflecting upon this, I shall not name them to thee. O best of ascetics, in this world the number of snakes baffles calculation, there being many thousands and millions of them. Alright, so that's the end of 35. Moving on to 36. Let me grab a drink. Sanauka said, "O child, thou hast named," a child, right? "O child, thou hast named many of the serpents gifted with great energy and incapable of being easily overcome. What did they do after hearing of the curse?" Sauti said, "The illustrious Seisha amongst them, of great renown, leaving his mother practiced hard penances, living upon air and rigidly observing his vows. He practiced these ascetic devotions, repairing to Gandhamadana, Vadri, Gokarna, the woods of Pushkara, and the foot of Himavat. And he passed his days in those sacred regions, some of which were sacred for their water and others for their soil, in the rigid observance of his vows, with singleness of aim and his passion under complete control." Right? That's another thing that's expected of so-called brahmanas or wise persons or devotees. You're supposed to have your passions under complete control, which means you can never get angry. All right, that's supposed to be impossible. So why there is all these wars, even amongst the gods? That doesn't make any sense. And the grandsire of all, Brahma, saw that ascetic with knotted hair, clad in rags, and his flesh, skin, and sinews dried up, owing to the hard penances he was practicing. And the grandsire, addressing him, that penance practicing one of great fortitude, said, "What is that thorn dust? Oh, Seisha." What the heck is this? I have no clue, guys. "Let the welfare of the creatures of the world also engage thy thoughts. O sinless one, thou art afflicting all creatures by thy hard penance. O Seisha, tell me the desire implanted in thy breast." So here's another story of one creature doing penance and all affecting all other creatures, right? It says here, "Thou art afflicting all creatures by thy hard penances." There's another mythical story about why the Earth axis is tilted. I've told the story once before. There was this person who was wanting to get the attention of the gods, and he went to the North Pole, and I hope I'm not confusing stories here, I don't think so. He went to hold his breath and stand on one toe, and he made himself very heavy, and this also had an effect on the rest of the creatures. Alright, so him standing on one toe at the North Pole is what made the Earth axis tilt. Right? The only thing you can gather from that story is that they were aware of the fact that the Earth was tilted, making the seasons. Right? So that's how you know that not only did they have a vision of this solar system whereby the sun is being towed by a chariot around the Earth, but that they also had an idea of the sun being at the center and the Earth being tilted, moving around the sun. And Seisha replied, "My uterine brothers are all of wicked hearts. I do not desire to live amongst them. Let this be sanctioned by thee. Like enemies, they are always jealous of one another. I am therefore engaged in ascetic devotions. I will not see them even. They never show any kindness for Vinata and her son. Indeed, Vinata's son, capable of ranging through the skies, is another brother of ours. Another brother of ours? They always envy him, and he, too, is much stronger owing to the bestowal of that boon by our father, the high-souled Kashyapa. For these I engaged in ascetic penances, and I will cast off this body of mine, so that I may avoid companionship with them, even in another state of life. Unto Sesha, who had said so, the grandsire said, O Sesha, I know the behavior of all thy brothers and their great danger owing to their offense against our mother. But, O snake, a remedy for this has been provided by me even beforehand. It behooves thee not to grieve for thy brothers. O Sesha, ask me the boon thou desires. I have been highly gratified with thy, and I will grant thee today a boon. O best of snakes, it is fortunate that thy heart has been set on virtue. Let thy heart be more and more firmly set on virtue. Then Sesha replied, O divine grandsire, this is the boon desired by me. May my heart always delight in virtue and in blessed ascetic penances. Brahman said, O Sesha, I am exceedingly gratified with this thy self-denial and love of peace. Really? How is that love of peace? You know, it sounds rather egoistic to me, to be honest with you. But at my command, let this act be done by thee for the good of my creatures. Right? Brahma calls us his creatures. Right? Brahma says, these are my creatures. Right? According to these philosophies, these mythologies, all of us are sons of Brahma or daughters of Brahma. Bear thou, O Sesha, properly and well this earth, so unsteady with her mountains and forests, her seas and towns and retreats, so that she may be steady. Alright, so earth is a she, and it's spelled with a capital E. Sesha said, O divine Lord of all creatures, O bestower of boons, O Lord of the earth, Lord of every created thing, Lord of the universe. Yeah. It says here, Lord of every created thing. That doesn't include living beings. Living beings are not considered things. Lord of the universe, I will, even as thou sayest, hold the earth steady. Therefore, O Lord of all creatures, place her on my head. Yeah. Strange story, right? It's the sun that's holding the earth steady. Brahman said, O best of snakes, go underneath the earth. She will herself give thee a crevice to pass through, and, O Sesha, by holding the earth, thou shalt certainly do what is prized by me very greatly. Sauti continued, Then the elder brother of the king of snakes entered a hole, passed to the other side of the earth, and holding her, supported with his head that goddess, which with her belt of seas passing all around. Alright, this sounds like a Nordic story also. Brahman said, O Sesha, O best of snakes, thou art the god Dharma, because alone with thy huge body thou supports the earth with everything on her, even as I myself. can. Sauti said, the snake Sesha, the Lord Ananta of great prowess, lived underneath the earth, alone supporting the world at the command of Brahman. And the illustrious grandsire, the best of the immortals, then gave unto Ananta the bird of fair feathers, the son of Vinata, for Ananta's help. And that's the end of this section. Sauti said, the best of snakes, Vasuki, hearing the curse of his mother, reflected how to render it abortive. He held a consultation with all his brothers, Airavata and others, intent upon doing what they deemed best for themselves. And Vasuki said, O ye sinless ones, the object of this curse is known to you. It behooves us to strive to neutralize it. Remedies certainly exist for all curses, but no remedy can avail those cursed by their mother. Hearing that this curse has been uttered in the presence of the immutable, the infinite, and the true one, my heart trembles. Surely our annihilation has come. Otherwise, why should not the immutable Lord prevent our mother while uttering a curse? Therefore, let us consult today how we may secure the safety of the snakes. Let us not waste time. All of you are wise and discerning. We will consult together and find out the means of deliverance, as did the gods of yore to regain lost Agni, who had concealed himself within a cave, so that Janamajaya's sacrifice for the destruction of the snakes may not take place, and so that we may not meet with destruction. Sauti continued, thus addressed all the offspring of Kadru assembled together, and, wise in councils, submitted their opinions to one another. One party of the serpents said, we should assume the guise of superior Brahmanas and beseech Janamajaya, saying, this intended sacrifice of yours ought to not take place. Other snakes, thinking themselves wise, yeah, that's the whole thing about snakes, right? They are representations of wiseness. Other snakes, thinking themselves wise, said, we should all become his favorite counselors. He will then certainly ask for our advice in all projects, and we will then give him such advice that the sacrifice may be obstructed. The king, the foremost of wise men, thinking us of sterling worth, will certainly ask us about the sacrifice. We will say it must not be. And pointing to many serious evils in this and the next world, we will take the care that the sacrifice may not take place. Or let one of the snakes approaching bite the person who, intending the monarch's good and well acquainted with the rites of the snake sacrifice, may be appointed as a sacrificial priest, so that he will die. The sacrificial priest dying, the sacrifice will not be completed. We will also bite all those who, acquainted with the rites of the snake sacrifice, may be appointed the ritwiks of the sacrifice. It's another word that's not getting translated here. And by that means attain our object. Other snakes, more virtuous and kind, said, oh, this counsel of yours is evil. It is not meet to kill Brahmanas. In danger that remedy is proper, which is blessed on the practices of the righteous. Unrighteousness finally destroys the world. Yeah. Other serpents said, we will extinguish the blazing sacrificial fire by ourselves becoming clouds, luminous with lightning and pouring down showers. Other snakes, the best of their kind, proposed, "Going by night, let us steal away the vessel of Soma juice. That will disturb the rite." Or, at that sacrifice, let the snakes by hundreds and thousands bite the people and spread terror around. Or, let the serpents defile the pure food with their food-defiling urine and dung. Others said, "Let us become the king's Ritviks and obstruct this sacrifice by saying at the outset, 'Give us the sacrificial fee. He, the king, being placed in our power, will do whatever we like.' Others there said, 'When the king will sport in the waters, we will carry him to our home and bind him, so that the sacrifice will not take place.' Other serpents, who deemed themselves wise, said, 'Approaching the king, let us bite him, so that our object will be accomplished. By his death, the root of all evil will be torn up. This is the final deliberation of us all. O thou who hearest with the eyes." Well, that's odd, right? This is the final deliberation of us all, O thou who hears with the eyes. So, the only thing that comes to mind here when they say that, well, actually there's two things. But the first thing that came to mind is, again, depending on which translator you're listening to, the claim is that you learn by hearing. Alright? So that's the hear, right? Hearing with the eyes. The claim is that you learn by hearing. But when you understand something, you can also say that you see it. Alright? You say, well, I see what you're getting at, for instance, right? So that's one thing that came to mind. Another thing is that, according to their mythologies, there are creatures, and even it's been displayed by some humans, apparently, in some stories, that are able to use senses for other senses. Alright, so for instance, there's this story of a girl, and she was asked to grab the green woolies, and there were red woolies and yellow woolies and green woolies, and they were all behind her while she was watching something else. And she moves her arm to the back and feels the color of the woolies. Alright, so that's use different senses for different purposes, right? I have no clue what this is supposed to be about, though. It's just reminding me of that, right? O thou who hearest with the eyes. Then do speedily what thou deemest proper. Having said this, they looked intently at Vasuki, the best of snakes, and Vasuki also, after reflecting, answered, "Ye snakes, this final determination of you does not seem worthy of adoption. The advice of you all is not to my liking. What shall I say, which would be good for you? Which would be for your good, I mean. I think the grace of the illustrious Kashyapa, our father, can only do us good. Ye snakes, my heart does not know which of all your suggestions is to be adopted for the welfare of my race, as also of me. That must be done by me, which would be to your weal." To your weal? W-E-A-L? I have no clue what that is. "It is this that makes me so anxious. For the credit of the discredit is mine alone." This is the end of section 37. Moving on to 38. Sauti said, hearing the respective speeches of all the snakes, and hearing also the words of Vasuki, Ailapatra began to address them, saying, "That sacrifice is not one that can be prevented, nor is King Janamejaya of the Pandava race, from whom this fear proceeds, such that he can be hindered. Right, so you got the Pandava race, who's one side of the battlefield of Kurukshetra. The person, O king, who is afflicted by fate, has recourse to fate alone. Nothing else can be his refuge. Ye best of snakes, this fear of ours has fate for its root. Fate alone must be refuge in this. Listen to what I say. When that curse was uttered, ye best of snakes, in fear I lay crouching on the lap of our mother. Ye best of snakes, and O Lord Vasuki, of great splendor, from that place I heard the words the sorrowing God spoke unto the grandsire. Yeah, the grandsire, that's Brahma. Right? Anytime something happens in the universe which they cannot control, these other half-gods, like the god of rain and so on, the god of the wind, if something, gets out of their control, they always go to Brahma and tell them, we've got trouble, please help us. The god said, O grandsire, thou god of gods, who else then the cruel Kudra could thus, after getting such dear children, curse them so, even in thy presence? And, O grandsire, by thee also has been spoken with reference to those words of hers, be it so. We wish to know the reason why thou didst not prevent her. Brahman replied, the snakes have multiplied, they are cruel, terrible in form and highly poisonous. From desire of the good of my creatures I did not prevent Kudra then. Those poisonous serpents and others who are sinful, biting others for no fault, shall indeed be destroyed, but not they who are harmless and virtuous. And hear also how, when the hour comes, the snakes may escape their dreadful calamity. There shall be born in the race of the Yajavaras a great rishi known by the name of Jaratkura, intelligent, with passions under complete control. That Jaratkura shall have a son of the name of Ashtika. He shall put a stop to the sacrifice, and those snakes who shall be virtuous shall escape therefrom. The god said, O thou truth-knowing one, on whom will Jaratkura, that foremost Muni is, it's not translated here, but there is a translation for this word. Muni means, and I'm giving you a rather loose translation, right? But it means one who thinks for himself, right? A Muni is known to have thoughts of his own, right? Like awake people do. They might have an original thought, as opposed to sheeple, who never ever have an original thought. They can only think what they've been taught to think. Alright, continuing. Gifted with great energy and asceticism, beget that illustrious son. Brahma answered, gifted with great energy, the best Brahmana shall beget a son possessed of great energy on a wife of the same name as his. Vasiku, the king of snakes, has a sister of the name of Jaratkaru. The son of whom I speak shall be born of her, and he shall liberate the snakes. Elapatra continued. The gods then said unto the grandsire, be it so. And the Lord Brahman, having said so unto the gods, went to heaven. O Vasiku, I see before me that sister of thine known by the name of Jaratkaru. For relieving us from fear, give her as alms unto him, the Rishi Jaratkuru, of excellent vows, who shall roam a begging for a bride. This means of release has been heard of by me. And that's the end of this section. Next, Sauti said, O best of regenerate ones, hearing these words of Elapatra, all the serpents in great delight exclaimed, well said, and from that time Vasuki set about carefully bringing up that maiden, his sister Jaradkaru, and he took great delight in rearing her. And much time did not elapse from this, when the gods and the Asuras assembled together turned the abode of Varuna, and Vasuki, the foremost of all gifted with strength, became the churning cord. And directly the work was over, the king of the snakes presented himself before the grandsire, and the gods, accompanied by Vasuki, addressed the grandsire, saying, O Lord, Vasuki is suffering great affliction from fear of his mother's curse. It behooves thee to root out the sorrow begotten of the curse of his mother, that has pierced the heart of Vasuki, desirous of the weal of his race. Again, there's the word weal. W-E-A-L. I have no clue what that is. The king of the snakes is ever our friend and benefactor, O Lord of the gods. Be gracious unto him, and usage his mind's fever. Whatever that is. A-S-S-U-A-G-E. Probably something like make it go away or whatever. Brahman replied, O ye immortal ones, I have thought in my mind of what you have said. Let the king of the snakes do that which has been communicated to him before by Elepatra. The time has arrived. Those only shall be destroyed that are wicked, not those that are virtuous. Jaradkaru has been born, and that Brahmana is engaged in hard ascetic penances. Let Vasuki at the proper time bestow on him his sister. Ye gods, what has been spoken by the snake Elapatra for the wheel again of the snakes is true and not otherwise. Sauti continued, Then the king of the snakes, Vasuki, afflicted with the curse of his mother, hearing these words of the grandsire and intending to bestow his sister on the rishi Jaradkaru, commanded all the serpents, a large number of whom were ever attentive to their duties, to watch the rishi Jaradkaru, saying, When the Lord Jaradkaru will ask for a wife, come immediately and inform me of it. The weal of our race depends upon it. Yeah, sounds like preservance or something, right? The weal of our race, how to preserve a race. And that was the end of that section, I think. And it's also 58. So we're going to call it quits for this week. I want to thank everybody for listening. And on 37001, Dale NC, Dan Cooper, JJ, Joe, Sholiak, Vince, Gio, and two Anons. Thanks for listening. I'll be back next week. We'll continue this with another song at the top of the hour from Poker Face 2012. It is the last song from that day, I think. Yeah, we've got like 6.5 minutes left or so. So take care, everybody, and I'll see you guys next week. Have fun.
Opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings.
I think a new world order is emerging.
An inside job? How dare you? How dare you?
To create so to say, mass-produced models of human beings arranged in some kind of a scientific caste system.